Hello,
Hello.
Mutet.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
We are fine. I'm fine.
I'm
That's
good.
great. It's good to hear. All right. Karibuni sana to uh, FEM Power Network. My name is Mutethia Mutweko, and I will be your host for today. Karibuni sana. I can see a number of us are joining in. Welcome. Today it's such a good day. And the topic that we'll be discussing is also very interesting. So I believe that's why most of us don't want to miss out on it. Actually, you can share the link with your friends, invite them on. I know this is something most of us we can relate to. All right. All right, karibuni sana. Maybe I will just start by giving a brief introduction of who we are and what we do. We are FEM Power Network, and basically this is a community of women globally who are looking to just identify and define their purpose and actually live in it. Not just write it on paper, have it on vision boards, but practically live it out. And one of the ways that we actually get to do this is through personal and professional development, in which we are able to have conversations relating to our personal lives and our professional lives. The other bit is mentorship, where we get to have people come in and just get someone to hold their hand, someone to be a sister, someone that you can rely on, and we get to learn from each other. And then the other pillar that we have is networking, where now we get to have conversations relating to what we do, relating to aspirations we have, and just getting to exchange those contacts and help one another in one way or the other. And we normally also have events where we get to now put into practice what we have been learning. And one of such events, if you would allow me to just share with you. Yes. Are we all able to see my screen?
We are. I am.
Yes. So one of such events is the Elevated Woman Wellness event that we will be having in collaboration with Team Sidai. And this event will be on 14th September 2024 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Team Sidai is located at Karen Rural Drive off the Tree Lane. And some of the activities we'll be having is self-care. We'll be having a mini spa. We will also be having health and wellness talk. We'll have a wellness assessment at the end of the day so that you're able to check where you're at. Then also some other health activities like Zumba and one-on-one therapy sessions. So this is something that I would advise all of us to be. We have a couple of lined up speakers, experts in their own right, starting with Esther Katiba, who will be having a conversation with tonight. Then Dr. Moses Masharia, who has been on the session, Dr. Venus Kiengo, and also Faith Atsango, who is a psychologist and a parenting expert. So you're wondering, how then do I get to become part of this? It's very easy. We have a couple of packages. We have individual packages where you can just have the 5,000 ticket without the self-care activities. It's not less valuable. It's still okay. Then we have the one with self-care activities going for 7,000 shillings. And then if you come as a group, you will get to enjoy the self-care activities just at 30,000 Kenyan shillings. And this is something that we will get to enjoy. You will get value for money, apart from just getting wanting to check on your health side, you will also be able to engage with different people who also have different aspirations, and you'll get to just interact with different thought processes. Yes, so this is something you don't want to miss. So you can make your payment through the till number 5963991. The name will be Unique Kenya Events. Yes, so even as we plan for that event, today we are talking about a topic that most of us probably are able to relate to and can say that I have experienced this in one way or another. It's about identifying and managing mental health triggers in the workplace. And this is something that both employers and employees are able to actually identify with, because sometimes we take work to be our identity, and because of that, it becomes a very sensitive area in our lives, and it also becomes a defining area that takes a huge chunk. I mean, if you're working 8 to 5, it means that for a whole 8 hours, you're in a place where either you like it or you don't like it. And that will affect how probably the rest of your day or night will be. And it will affect also how you interact with different people. And the person that will be handling this is Esther Katiba. She's an HR expert and also a mental health advocate. And having interacted with people, I know she's in the best position to actually share with us some of the things that we can do to identify if we are okay and how we can go on managing this whole issue. So Esther Katiba, you're very much welcome to take on the session and also to just introduce yourself even further if there's anything that I might have left out. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Mutethia. Thank you, Rahel. I see Gladys in the room. Gladys, karibu sana. She promised me to attend, and I'm happy that she is now. This is a unique topic, and I really don't want us to get very used to talking about mental health until sometimes it might lose its meaning. But it's really a serious topic. It's the conversation that's ongoing in the workspaces. When we speak about, I had a conference last week, if you allow me, that was, the theme was aligning organizational culture with strategy. Now, we speak about culture, we cannot speak about culture fully without the wellness of employees. So it is important that we understand what employees are asking for, and clearly what employers are asking for. The question of, the question of what, when I think about mental health, what's the first word that comes to my mind? I think for me, it's culture. I can't think of anything better. I think it's culture, and it's organizational culture. Organizational culture is around things within the workplace, how people are treated, how people relate to each other, what they feel when they come to work, what they feel when they're leaving work, you know, why they come to work for you, and why they would trust your brand and trust you more than anyone else. So the World Mental Health Day 2024 is coming up on October 10th, and the theme is amazing. The theme is, it is time to prioritize mental health in the workplace. I love that theme. I love the theme. So today's conversation is aligned to what we will be pushing, and I know Gladys is pushing the same. The theme of prioritizing wellness, prioritizing mental health in the workplace. It's something that we cannot exhaust. to discuss about, because workplaces are different. People have different experiences. We've gone to different workplaces and experienced different things. We all have a story to tell, especially if you've been in the workspaces that you go to, and either you've been to, you're working in, or you're hoping to get into. You will find a culture. When you walk into a home, there's a culture in every home, and it's similar. It's the same thing in the workplace. There's a culture in an organization that dictates how things are done. You've heard of statements like, this is how we do things here, you know? You come into an organization and you're fiery and you know you want to change things. Of course, in the interview, the promises were huge, and everyone said, we want you to come and change 1, 2, 3, and then you get in and someone says, hey, relax. This is how we do things. That's a culture. Sometimes it's unspoken, it's not written, but you can feel it. You might end up also getting into it, or the system or the culture might be unbearable and you might leave. So talking about identifying and managing mental health triggers in the workplace is a very huge topic, but I'll talk about a few things that could be triggers. Number one, I want to say this with a lot of reservations, because I know there are jobs that would demand long working hours, but a human body and mind can only take so much. Long working hours have been known to stretch stretchers, and that's why you will find, from a HR perspective and from the legal perspective, there are working hours stipulated for any employee, which is basically about 8 working hours. Well, some organizations will demand that you go beyond that, and it's also important that you compensate the employees with the rest. But excess working hours will push you to the corner and push you to a place of burnout, you know. When you hear employees say, you know, like, there's something we call presenteeism and absenteeism. Now, we are all aware of absenteeism in the workplace, because it's something that we use a lot as HR to discipline you, you know, or to summon you. Faith, you have been absent without permission, we give you a warning letter. But there's something else called presenteeism, where Faith is at work, but she's literally not at work. You know, the mind, everything else, is the body that is at work. And this kind of a behavior could also be a health hazard in the workplace. You know, if Faith operates a machine and due to fatigue, long working hours, she's just there to be seen, then chances are that when the body just signals fatigue, it is an accident or a mistake in waiting. And hence you see, you know, a lot of errors in the workplace. From the HR side, you will talk about an employee that comes in, Mutetia comes in as the top person, you know, top performer. We got the best talent, but with long working hours and no breaks, your whole system begins to collapse. And all of a sudden we are saying the Mutetia we hired is not the one we are seeing, because the long working hours are affecting your mental health. They're affecting your output. You cannot disconnect culture, organizational culture, from performance and from your health. I say this a lot of times, that no amount of money is worth your mental health, you know. So as an employee, you also need to be very careful how much you can stretch yourself, you know. So long working hours, no breaks, to the leaders and the supervisors in the room. Unrealistic goals, you know. There's a lack of systems in workplaces where you find people do not have job descriptions. or they have job descriptions that we sign off because we need work. Definitely, you're told you need to deliver this, this, and this, and this, and clearly you can see it might be too much work, but you need the job, you need the money. Now, as leaders, I keep saying, let us set realistic goals. If as a leader, I cannot deliver a certain assignment in 2 hours, it is unprofessional for me to demand my teammates to deliver that in 30 minutes. It's either they will be stretched or there will be errors in it. And the mental stress that accompanies such an assignment is huge. So let us set realistic goals for ourselves and for our team members. Deadlines as well, be realistic with the deadlines. That's why it's important to have measurable KPIs, where I can say that I am expected to deliver this assignment within 2 hours, and this is what I should deliver. Now, if the deadlines are crazy and unachievable, the first thing that hits your mind is this possible? And you begin to get stressed. You begin to get anxious. You begin to get confused. You begin to get, out of place. You don't even know where to start and where to end. Now, high pressure environment. Now, I'm not here to say pressure is bad. There's good pressure in the workplace, but then there's bad pressure, There are environments that you can't avoid pressure, like security, hospitals have their own kind of pressure, and many others that are fast-paced. Then you need to know that there's pressure there. But excess pressure that naturally a human body and mind will not take tends to be very dangerous for you, And someone asked me, when do I know, how do I know when to exit a job? I'll say one thing, it is for you to know when it is too much, and I will never tell someone exit a job when you don't know where you're going. But your mental health should be an asset. It should be something you value. It's not, your health is your own responsibility. It's never your manager's responsibility. Just like your career, we had a conversation last week, and as HR professionals, we said, you see, we blame people for things that happen to us, but I think it is me to know when to exit. It is for me to know when it is too much. It is for me to know what I can take and what I cannot take. So unmanageable workloads can push you to the end, can stress you and strain you so badly that your mental health is affected. Now, if you begin to get stressed, I tell people, if when you wake up, number one, you hate where you're going. Your stress begins there, Your stress begins in the morning. I have seen people that come and project their stress. Now, there are two ways. Your stress can originate from work back into the home, and your stress can originate from home into the workspace. Now, you need to be very careful how you manage your life. And I'm going in this direction because of work-life balance. I've had it over and over again. It's not possible to have that balance. I think it's for you to design your work time, your schedule, and design time. Be very intentional about resting time. Rest time should not be by the way. It should be aligned. It should be planned the same way you plan. If I ask any of you, just by show of hand, in this room, how many people on your diary have scheduled rest? Rest doesn't mean the lunch break. How many of you have scheduled resting, like tomorrow I'm not going anywhere, I'm switching off my phone, or I'm not leaving my bed or the house, but I'm resting. Let me just see how many of you have rest in your calendar, you know. I'm waiting for, you can speak up. Let's engage. Faith, Carol, Rahel.
Yeah, I take resting seriously. I
Mhm.
rest. I have a plan. Yeah, I know because of what we do, we can get burnout. And when you have burnouts, you become so cranky and irritable. And there's no need of transferring bad energy because of your own doing. So it's just good to understand your body and allocate time to rest. So I take rest seriously.
You do. Good.
Yes.
I see Rahel says I have. Caro says I don't. Please do. From today, Caro, we all have a starting point, you know. Gladys says I put my phone on silent and just sleep. Amazing. That's good. Peace says, oh my God, I'm here to work on it. The same way you schedule other things, please schedule your own resting time. Because your health, your mental health, your physical, your emotional, your psychological wellness is your responsibility. It is your responsibility. So schedule some time and rest. Switch off whatever you need to, any distractors, whether it's your TV or your phone or your laptop. I have learned this the hard way. You know, when you grow up thinking that being a workaholic is a crown, it's a very bad one, you know. I've been in that space, made the mistakes, pushed myself to the wall, and the next thing is you can't even leave the bed, or you're going to the hospital and the doctor says, I can't see anything. I have also seen people that get what is called panic attacks, you know, just because the fatigue is way too much, your body begins to shut. So you need to take care of yourself. Rahel will tell you, we keep saying self-care is not selfish. So as much as you're taking care of everyone else, learn to take care of yourself. Now, poor communication in the workplace. Truth be told, you may not influence how other people communicate. I know there can be policies around it, but you will always find someone that just throws words like, you know, and some people that are just not good in communication. So you cannot escape this, but then you need to know what to take to heart, you know. You need to also be a good communicator, actually, because sometimes we are blaming everyone else for the triggers, and you could be the trigger. And as Faith said, you know, there's no need to project your stress to other people. Get to know when you're irritable, you know, when you spark on very small issues in your workplace or even in your home. Identify the small triggers, you know. We talk about of course, that anger thing, you know, the small triggers, you're irritable, you're stress eating. I hear my daughter telling me, you know, Mom, I'm stress eating because of school. So be able to monitor your habit, you know. You either oversleeping or you're not sleeping. It can be either way, you're stress eating or you're not eating. There's so many ways around it. But being able to manage your environment and knowing what to allow into your heart. Allow me to mention this. You know, the Bible says, you know, guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows the issues of life. Now, if you do not guard your heart, whatever comes in, you know, the people that are poor communicators in the workplace, people that can just be rude, people that are bossy and don't care much about what words can do, because words have power, will throw them across anyway, and it can cause you a lot of stress when you begin to take that to heart. So be careful on okay, yes, indeed, self-care is not selfish. I was looking at that message. Be careful how you communicate. Let's start with ourselves, because sometimes we're expecting too much from other people, yet we are the triggers of stress in the workplace. So let's be careful about pushing our team members to work for long hours. I think it starts with me, so that I'm not expecting people to treat me well. I'm not expecting people to communicate well, and not to expect too much when I can't manage to deliver that. But I'm doing the opposite. Be role models yourselves or ourselves, that we allow our team members to rest. We give them the breaks. We don't have unrealistic goals. We are not the source of pressure, high pressure in the workplace, you know. It's creating a conducive work environment where an employee or colleague can say, I'm feeling a bit stressed, Esther, today. Is it okay if I leave earlier? You know, I can cover this assignment tomorrow. Because we are human beings. You need to understand that when you have teams, because we are talking about the workplace, people are going through a lot of issues, and someone will say, that's not my problem. Today it's them, tomorrow it will be you. And if you're expecting someone to understand what you go through, then kindly understand them as well. Not to create room for laziness or excuses, but it's good to also understand your team members. Know that this is the amount of work that Muteithia can handle at any given time. Understand the strengths and the weaknesses of your team members. Understand their language, because we all don't receive the information the same way. What Gladys might think is rude, someone else might laugh about it and may not affect them. So let's maintain respect in the workplace, so that we are not stressing one another with our communication. Let's not also project our stresses as leaders to our juniors. You know, if you know, I keep saying, you've taken the role of a leader, kindly note that it comes with a certain amount of pressure. So don't project your stress to your team members just because you've been blasted maybe in a management meeting. You come and bring it down to them. It's important that as a leader, you guard your integrity, guard yourself. If you feel the pressure is too much, I have told bosses before, you're the boss and you can always take a walk. Your juniors will not ask you, why are you not at your desk? So learn to take a walk, learn to just manage your anger and your stress before you can come to your people, because it's not very easy for you to undo the mess. If you come and just burst out and you've lost it, you have no self-control, you're saying anything that you think is right to say. One time someone told me, you know, there are 3 things you can never get back: an arrow thrown, an opportunity lost, and a word once spoken. An arrow thrown, an opportunity lost, and a word once spoken. So once you release an arrow, it goes. You can't catch it. Once you lose an opportunity, in most cases, you don't get it. Once I throw a word at Rahel and it hurts her or affects her, it's very difficult to take it back. I can come back and say I'm sorry and many things, but the word still remains, you know. So it's good for us to watch our communication. It's good for you to learn to sit on the other side, so that as you send out information, as you send out a certain conversation in the workplace, you have quickly sat on the other side mentally. And that's what I do. Before I send an email, I will read my own email's tone. I will sit on the other side of the receiver and think through what that person will interpret that email to be. Does it sound rude? Is it passing the message that I need to pass? Is the tone okay? Because sometimes it's not even in verbal communication. An email can just be enough. You know, these common emails in the workplace as discussed, following our conversation. We all know those ones, when you see them, you know very well this email. And there's something I want to say. You see those emails that come, Carol, following our conversation. I am actually documenting just in case, something happens along the way. It actually speaks of a culture within an organization, either a culture of setup or a culture of no trust, because if we trust each other and it's okay to document. I'm not saying it's not right to document. Please document. But there are other places, levels we get to documenting everything, you passed by my desk and we discussed this. You did this and we did. Now that tells you about the culture within an organization. And cultures within an organization can actually be the biggest stressors. There's a place where people just don't talk to each other. It's a culture. There are places where the other day we were listening to a certain CEO and he said, there are organizations where you can't share a lift. I am the CEO, but you can't get into my lift. We can't go. I will go with that lift alone until it gets me to the office. It will come back for you. Now that is a culture. There are places where you can't see the next level until maybe you've done an email, you've booked an appointment, even if it's an emergency. You can't talk to a manager, even on the corridors. That is a culture. And these small things that are in organizations can cause a lot of stress, If I see the CEO, Rahel, coming, because we can't share a lift, and I cannot talk to the CEO without going through Carol, going through, Gladys, going through, it gives me a lot of stress, I'm not even able to communicate. You've seen employees that are shaky, they're shaking, they can't even, you're talking to them, you're saying hello, and they're actually leaving. They're disappearing, they mumble, they can't even talk. That's a culture. There's so many things within an organization that you don't need to be told what happens around here, If you sit at a reception, and I have said this many times, if I sit at a reception of an organization, in a few minutes, I will pick the culture from the dress code, from the language, from how the receptionist receives you, from their timekeeping, their order, the ambience of the office. It will tell me in a few minutes what kind of a culture is in that institution. So it is important that we guard the organizational culture, because that's a brand. You can't separate culture and brand. Your culture is your brand in an organization. Someone who said, I one time asked a friend of mine, I knew he used to work for a certain company, and there was an opening, and I said, there's an opening in this place, should I consider this? And he told me, go there at your own risk. And that was a brand. That was it. I did not have a conversation with that organization after that. That was it. If my friend can just warn me, go there at your own risk. That's a culture, because Peter Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. It doesn't matter what kind of, it's actually now September, October, November, people and organizations will be heading to Naivasha, Mombasa, and different places, wherever they want to go for business strategy. Now, you can pump in so much money in your strategy, But if your culture is toxic, if your culture is these long hours, no breaks, unrealistic goals, high pressure, negativity, poor communication, your strategy, no matter who you paid to prepare it, will not see the light of day. So there's always the big question I keep asking, what comes first? Is it the egg or the hen or the chicken or the egg or the hen, whatever? Is it culture? Is it strategy? But I keep saying either way, fix your culture. Fix your culture. You can have a very good business idea, a very good organization. You attract the best of talent, but retaining your talent would take your culture. Retaining your talent would take that environment, that communication, the expectations, the support of your employees. That is what will keep that talent. I've worked in organizations where it's like a conveyor belt, people come in and leave, people come in and leave. It's around the culture, and the complaint is the same. And if management does not handle the culture of an organization, then employees will keep moving in and out. You will attract the best and keep losing them. So you become a training ground, which is now an expense for an organization. You can't really measure your performance. You're training me and the next thing I'm out. So it's such a loss for a business. So if you fix your culture, fix the expectations, fix the environment, then their mental health will be okay. The employees will be settled. There are organizations where employees are not paid a lot, but they don't leave. You can try poach them, they will not leave because it's beyond the money. There's no point of getting a huge salary and spending it in the hospital. So it is the culture that we need to fix. When you talk about mental health triggers in the workplace, can we first fix the culture? Fix your, organizational culture is around elements of your structure, your systems, your policies and processes, your management styles, your pockets of power, your symbols, the stories of the people that have worked for you. What are they saying about you? Exits have nothing to lose, when someone like that friend of mine who told me, you join them at your own risk. That's an exit. That's someone who's exited that organization. So they have nothing to lose by telling me the truth, So if there are HR professionals in the room and managers of different departments, then I will say this, that branding is not in the hands of marketing people much. Organizational branding starts with HR, how are our recruitment processes? When we send out an invitation, or a job opportunity, how is it phrased? I have seen job opportunities that have been posted and they have a lot of errors, and I'm thinking, these errors coming into the media must be the same errors within. So if someone did not take time to check, the small things that we do that speak about the organization, the interview process. When you call me for an interview at 8 a.m. and you start the interview at 11 and you're unapologetic, it tells me about your culture. It tells me whether you respect people's time, and how you feel, that feeling of entitlement, during the recruitment process, the kind of questions you ask me. You can ask whatever questions you want, but there are some other questions that are intrusive, how you conduct that interview. When you tell me I'll get back to you in 3 days, in 7 days, and I will never hear from you again, I'll keep saying that organization says this, but they don't do it. Now, that's your brand. You can have the best logo and the t-shirts and the branding and everything and your vehicles branded, but the original and real brand is in your people. It's in how they feel It is in their mental wellness. It's in the feeling of, does the employer care about me? And you see, the employer caring about you doesn't mean they pamper you, no. If I meet Rahel on the corridors, I should be able, of course, there are organizations that are very big, but in smaller organizations, I should be able to pick quickly and know how Rahel behaves when she's okay, when she's stressed, especially if I'm the line manager. So do you know your people well that you can spot issues of mental wellness? Are they okay physically? And it doesn't have to cost you money as an organization to do physical wellness. You, in your own office, you can stand up and stretch. In your own office compound, you can have some exercise. It's not a matter of budget. I know we've escaped many times saying, we don't have a budget for wellness. Stretching in the company doesn't need a budget. Just making sure as the leader that your people don't sit throughout and making, giving them the tips, talking to them, virtual conversations, that doesn't need a budget. So talk about the physical wellness, talk about the mental wellness, talk about social wellness, have conversations, care about your people beyond their performance. If the only conversation I have with you is your work and how far are you with this assignment, then I'll feel drained at some point. But if you come and ask me, Carol, how are you? How is your family? How is everything? I begin to feel that you care. And so I will also begin to care about the assignments I do. So I think, Mutethia, I've said almost everything, but yes, let me give it back to you for now. All right, yes.
Yes, I had lost you there for a minute, but I think you're just wrapping up on what you are saying in regards to culture and how branding, this is what personally I've taken away. Branding is to how you look to your stakeholders. When we, yes, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so as I was saying, my takeaway from this stakeholders feel as opposed to very important thing, because when the conversation of branding comes up, people mostly associate it to maybe your outlook on social media, maybe on how you're dressed when you have an activation or an event somewhere. And it's totally different because once your stakeholders are okay, be it your customers, be it your employees, then that automatically translates to revenue, either in terms of engagement or even just money, which all businesses are looking for. Now, I have a couple of questions, and I believe the audiences also do. And you can always put your question on the chat box and I will just read it out, or Esther will just read it out and tackle it. So one question that has come up, and you've touched on it a bit, how then do you differentiate between being entitled and actually knowing your rights when it comes to your mental wellness, both for the employers and employees? Maybe that's something you can check on. The other one is about bullies. Do you ignore them or do you speak up? Sometimes when you ignore them, it's like you're giving them motivation to keep on going on. When you speak up, it's like now you've given them the firewood to continue stoking up the fire. So how then do you handle such situations?
Wow. The bullies, I am one person. I don't keep quiet. I think it also the personality type. There are people that would decide to just keep quiet, and it will not be easy for them. That's how you lose talent. That's how you wake up and find someone resigned and everyone is saying, okay, we didn't see this coming. But you see, it's the environment. But I think also some of these issues should be addressed through policies, you know. We have to avoid dealing with issues in the workplace emotionally. Now, address issues through the policies, because it is not just for you, it is for people that will come after you. So can we just have policies and processes in place, you know, so that we know that when you bully someone, this is what happens. And then that will be a standard set, so that when Faith bullies me, the policy applies. It's not the other way that if I bully Faith, I get away with it, but for her, the policy comes in. You know, can we be fair? And the policies will bring that fairness, you know. So as leaders in the room, use policies for discipline, you know, set the culture through policies. That's why I said one of the elements of an organizational culture is your policies and processes. Now, we miss it, especially in the onboarding of employees. So this entire thing of mental health and culture is picked. It's just like a child. You can adopt a child from a different family. When they come into your home, in their own home, they don't remove their shoes. In your home, you don't bring in your shoes. Now, if you don't do that induction, with this is what we do here. We don't shout at people. We don't, actually, there are people who send you shouting emails. You know, shouting emails. You read an email and it is a shouting email. You know, this is how we treat one another. You know, we don't bully people. When we notice you're bullying people, this is what happens to you. And can it be consistent? You know, you don't wink when someone does it and another one you're tough on it. But if you're being bullied, I keep saying, when there are policies and processes, and even in the absence of that, I have, you know, something that business owners need to know is that the absence of a policy and the absence of a contract does not keep you safe from the law, you know. I see a lot of people running away from contracts and policies. That doesn't make your environment safer or exempted from the law. Then if there are no policies, then the law applies, you know. And even in the presence of policies, there's a place of law in whatever happens. So speak out. And I think organizations also have to develop mechanisms where people need to feel it's safe to speak up, you know, because there are places you speak up and that's the end of you. So can there be platforms that are supported in the organization that people can speak up? I've seen places where they have whistleblower policies, you know, and some organizations don't use the internal whistleblower platforms. They actually outsource, so that when the whistleblower, when someone whistleblowers about Faith, it's not seen internally. It actually is received by the external service provider, who then does a report into the organization without mentioning any names, you know. And the beauty of that is that the report that goes to the external is always seen by the very top management, so that it doesn't get lost. The CEO and the others will. Of course, there's a loophole. What if it's a CEO who is a bully? You know, then it's at the end of it. But in most cases, then that helps, because if I whistleblow about my line manager, the external company will see. My other level, who is maybe the GM or CEO, will see it, and maybe another person ahead of the CEO will see it. So there's no way it's getting lost, you know? Yeah, so I think I'll say speak up. People must learn to speak up. It is your right to speak, you know? There's a fear that grips people in organizations, and that's, you see, that's where, Mutetia, that's where mental health issues begin. See, the minute I begin to feel I can't speak in a meeting, actually, you need, there's a topic that I do a lot for organizations called psychological safety. You know, I should feel safe to challenge my manager on an issue without feeling threatened that my job will go, you know. I should be very safe to contribute even in a meeting. And as a leader, it's a signal that things are not right. When you're in a whole meeting for 1 hour, you're the only one talking, and everyone else is saying it is okay, it is okay. It cannot be right. You need to know, and it needs to be a signal that your people don't feel safe to contribute. So you need to create that environment where people are safe to say, I am being bullied, you know, or I feel harassed on this matter. Or even for something like sexual harassment. Most people don't speak because in most cases, it's coming from the leader. So can you create that space where people can speak, you know? Now, please repeat this entitled and rights, or have I handled that together?
I think in some way you've handled it. And actually, there's a question from Caroline, and I think it's in line with what you're asking about the entitlement bit. She's saying, for the young people coming up, the Gen Zs, how can we tell what's the line in between exploitation and being patient and investing in your career? What are some of the patterns we can look out for in organizations that are trying to exploit? And what are those things we should be patient with as we try to grow? Connecting that to bring out that picture of entitlement and gone to an organization, they've given you a particular maybe job description, right? And from that job description, then you are added on other roles. You're not you're not feeling like you're being overburdened because of course you want to grow and learn, and of course gain more skill. But the issue comes then in when it's about the KPIs. What are you being measured against? When, for example, you have this particular job description, you are doing that exactly, and maybe other additional roles, but what is being considered is the additional roles more than what you actually went there for. And because of that, you find yourself getting affected all the time. How then do you handle that? Now, bringing it together with this question from Carol, let's say you're an intern and you want really to learn, you want to grow. How then do I know I'm not being exploited out on?
So, I don't know that you can hear me. Good. Now, I want to speak to what we call any other duties. You know, there's that line in your job description that says any other duties. Unfortunately, organizations punish the best performers, sometimes, not always. We dump work on Gladys because I know when I give it to Gladys, it will be done. When I give it to Carol, I will have to keep following. Carol, this is not the truth. I'm just giving an example. When you give it to another person, I have to be at the desk where I am stressed. I am following up on it, you know. So what most of the leaders will do is that they will keep taking it to Gladys. So it is on top of her other duties that I'm now picking your work, Mutetia, and giving it to her. no increase in salary. It's just that, Gladys, I like the way you do it, and I know you'll deliver this in good time. The boss wants it, and so we end up punishing the best performers. We will lose them or we stress them. But you see what happens to the other person? They sit back. What they were supposed to be paid for is being done by somebody. And that's where people feel, I'm getting exploited, I am doing so much, I'm not being paid for it. People begin to disconnect mentally. Before an employee exits physically, or before they bring you the letter to your desk, they left you mentally long time ago. They disconnected, and it's gradual. Someone just disconnects slowly and just says, I think I'm in the wrong place, I'm not appreciated. I better start looking for another place. This is too much. This any other duties is becoming more than my core duties. You're now even serving tea, and you went in there as an accountant, surely, and you're thinking, I want to grow. My friend, you can't grow in serving tea, truth be told. And I think you need to be honest with yourself. And that's why it's important that you have your own personal career goals. So if you're in an organization and you're not moving in your own, you see, the problem is, Mutetia, most people don't know what they want to be. They don't know where they want to go. So any destination, they have arrived, and I've heard young people also say, it's okay, I can be in a toxic place as long as it pays me. My friend, it will pay you fine. You will have money in your pocket, but you frequent the hospital, or things may not go right. You need to know when to have a conversation with your line manager, and say, with all due respect, this, I feel like I'm not growing, or I'm getting sidetracked, this is really not what I want to be. This is not what I want, where I want to go. I'll appreciate work in this line, and I don't mind supporting another department or some other roles, but is it okay if we focus on this one? Because personally, and I'm saying this again, you need to know what you want for yourself. Otherwise, Mutetia, I will give you the tea. Tomorrow you will clean the floor. The following day you'll be a messenger. I met a friend of mine, and this conversation went on in the conference the other day. I met a friend of mine who worked in an organization for 13 years. And to date, she's very bitter about that organization because she was moved from reception to finance to back office to what. To date, she can't tell you what she's good at. Well, so who is to blame? The conversation never ended. The HR was responsible, of course, but you're also fully responsible of driving your own career. So when we're talking about positioning yourself in an organization, you don't take jobs because they are available. It sounds controversial, especially when people are looking for money, but I think you need to know how to align yourself with the right organization. If you want to work in a certain organization, and maybe the only entry job available is reception, but that is your dream place and that is where your career can grow, then it is okay for you to put your foot in. But then once you're inside, please carve your own path within. When it comes to exploitation, I know I am seeing this for Gen Zs. I think it's also important for young people to understand what they want. I think when you're in campus, or when you're in college, there are things you would, or when you're a child, you say that when I grow up, I want to be, I don't know where that growing up went. Somehow, most people are not even doing what they studied. It's okay. You can switch. It is okay. You can switch, but then don't be everywhere. Don't also be everywhere that you can't put a finger on your strength. You can't say, this is who I am. When you go for an interview and they ask you, so what are you good at? You don't even know, because you've touched everything is a touch and go. If you want to build your career or your brand, then you must be known for that one thing that you do so well, that when we are looking for someone to do it, your name must come up somewhere. It must come up in our heads. It must come up in boardrooms, Just make yourself relevant. And there's nothing wrong with serving tea, because there are people who specialized in that, and that's their area. But then if you went for a different thing, please align yourself. And if you feel that that organization is not taking you in your direction, it is okay to begin looking elsewhere. It is fine, to begin looking for places where it aligns with your passion and your dream career. On exploitation, please learn to speak about it. Speak up. Don't wait until you've wasted 10 years and then you're lamenting. My friend, whoever you're lamenting to has progressed and they have left. So it's your responsibility again to drive your own career path. Yes, I hope that answers.
Carol, maybe you can share with us, has your question been answered? Awesome.
Yes.
Right. Is there any other person with a question? All right. I can see that our time has been well spent. And maybe just as a closing remark, Esther, September is a Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And I know you've had cases where people have murdered themselves because of jobs. Either they've lost it, or the area, or rather the job was toxic, or maybe just something they couldn't handle. In 3 words, what would you tell someone who's at that point where they feel like, now I just want to go. Me, I can't handle this life. And
I'll simply say
because of
that
job.
seeking help is not a sign of weakness. When it's too much, please seek help. Yeah. Just
Right.
look for help. Yeah.
Okay. Any other parting shot?
What should I say? Let's be careful on how we treat people. Let's be examples. Let's take care of ourselves and take care of other people. I'll say this, that you're accountable. You're also not just accountable to your employer, but you're answerable to God on how you treat the rest of the people around you. So choose the answer that you want to have when you go before God, because leadership is not a platform to abuse other people. Leadership is a platform to care and to raise other leaders, so that you can look back and you're proud and you're happy for what you did. And families are not lamenting about you. Generations are not crying because of how you treated their parents. I don't think that's a legacy that you want to leave. So be careful of the legacy that you leave. Be careful about your employees and their families. Behind every employee is a family. Behind every employee is somebody, whether a dependent or someone. So can you please extend the grace and that love and care to the people behind those families? Yes.
Awesome. Wow, that has been a great session. We were laughing behind the scenes, just thinking, how is this going to take? How long is it going to be? And we've actually covered a good amount of time. which is great because we've really gotten some nice pointers. I know all of us have notes, and we are really going to implement all of them. And maybe just to reinforce everything that Esther has said, I think what we are talking about here is emotional intelligence, being self-aware, aware of how your feelings affect others and how the feelings of others affect you. And we will be actually talking about this more on the Wellness Day, Woman Wellness Day, which will be happening at in Team Sidai. Let me again share the poster so that we can all be able to see what I'm talking about. All right. So yes, are we all able to see my screen? Sorry. All right. All right, yes. So this is the event that I'm talking about. In collaboration with Team Sidai, we will be having the Elevated Woman Wellness Day, and we will be talking about so many things related to health and wellness, including mental health in the workplace. We will also be having self-care activities, and at the end of it, we will have a wellness assessment where you'll be able to check, am I okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing? We'll have activities like Zumba, which is nice. Come ready with your dancing shoes, and of course, one-on-one therapy sessions. The event will be happening on 14th September 2024 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's at Karen, Rural Drive off Tree Lane. And of course, you have to dress sporty and comfortable. Now, the good thing is this, for all those who attended this session today, we will be having a discount for you. Instead of doing the 5K, we will be having the tickets going for 4,500. That's before midnight today. So make sure that you get your ticket, invite your friends to also get the ticket so that they don't miss out on this amazing session that we will be having. And then, of course, you can always give us your feedback on how the session has been, still on the chat or even on the WhatsApp groups. And we can have this conversation ongoing. It doesn't have to stop at this Zoom meeting. It needs to go on and on and on. In the earlier times, hard skills were the things that people were looking for at workplaces. Nowadays, it's both the hard and soft skills, how you're able to maneuver through the work environment, both as an employer and as an employee. So this is something that you don't need to miss out on. And I'll be sharing with you the link for the group so that you can be able to join and be part of this amazing community of women. You see here, we are just vibes. For the Gen Zs in the house, we are buddies in every area of the life. So thank you very much for joining in, for asking questions, for engaging, for staying till the end. In case of anything, you can always side chat me on the chat box, and yeah, even on WhatsApp. So thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you on 14th September and even seeing you on the groups. Thank you very much. Do have a good evening. Good night, guys. Bye.